Hello, everybody. How you all doing? So, we're going to be talking about the Fabian Society today. I'm not going to try and get off track today. The topic is going to be the Fabian Society. I'm going to try and stay on for about an hour. Just want to say from the outset, and please listen to this, because obviously with what's happened last week with people making assumptions about my stance on things, I know there's a lot more to the Fabian Society that I'm going to be saying in this live stream today. I know that. I've said to people, I am only scraping the surface of this yet. I've only just started researching them. So this is just like a little dive into what they're about and stuff like that. I know there's more to them. I know that. And I'm going to learn that as I research them more. Just want to say that before I go into this. Saying that, I want you to listen to one of the co-founders. So the Fabian Society, I think when was it actually... says here, it was actually the 1800s when the Fabian Society was created. And this is one of the co-founders, George Bernard Shaw. This is one of the founders saying this. Tell me if you can hear this in the chat. Right, I'll play it.
I object to all punishment whatsoever. I don't want to punish anybody. But there are an extraordinary number of people whom I want to kill. Not in any unkind or personal spirit, but it must be evident to all of you. You must all know half a dozen people at least who are no use in this world, who are more trouble than they are worth. And I think it would be a good thing to make everybody come before a properly appointed board, just as he might come before the income tax commissioner, and say every 5 years or every 7 years, just put him there and say, sir or madam, now will you be kind enough to justify your existence? If you can't justify your existence, if you're not pulling your weight in the social vote, if you're not producing as much as you consume, or perhaps a little more, then clearly we cannot use the big organization of our society for the purpose of keeping you alive, because your life does not benefit us, and it can't be of very much use to you. I object.
So basically, that, I'd like to say that the Fabian Society was like started off with the best intentions, but that's a founder basically in a roundabout way arguing for eugenics. So he's saying there that he would like society to be organized in a way where people have to justify their own existence to a board, to the government. And if you are not producing as much as you consume or a little bit more, then you should be terminated. So that, to me, that's basically, it's a facet of fascism. It's eugenics. Let's get rid of the people in society who are a burden in their eyes. And that's one of the founders, George Bernard Shaw. And the more you look into the Fabian Society, I mean, I've only just been scratching the surface. I've only just been reading into them for just over a week, and the stuff that I've been reading about these people, from the outset, these are not good people. It isn't. It really isn't. We'll have a look at this. We'll get onto the internet. I'll show their core beliefs. The core beliefs are amazing. Basically, if you look at the Fabian Society and then you look at the World Economic Forum, you can see that the World Economic Forum has taken aspects from the Fabian Society and just put it on an international stage. The Fabian Society was responsible for the inception of the Labour Party. They have close ties. They are a socialist movement. The Fabian Society is a socialist movement. Sadiq Khan was chairman of the Fabian Society. So if that guy's anything to do with it, it's not good for society. It's not good for this country. Anyway, we'll get into it. I'm just going to Google it now. I would like to share it on screen, but I can't share it at the minute. Apparently, all the options for sharing, I have to pay for the top tier on StreamYard, and I'm not going to do that until I get my new laptop. So sorry about that. I should touch on this as well. I'll touch on this as well, because this kind of sums up their whole ethos as well. So this is what it says about the Fabian Society. This is just like a brief look into them, really. The Fabian Society is a British left-leaning think tank and the membership organisation founded in 1884 that advocates for democratic socialism and a radical gradual reform to achieve long-term social change. Bear that in mind. Bear that in mind. I'm just gonna bring up their logo because the logo is interesting. I'm going to explain this to people because when it loads up, that is, everything's slow on this thing. Right, so this is the logo of the Fabian Society. So if you can look at that, it's actually a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's what it is. It's a wolf disguised as a sheep. And this is their ethos. This is what they're all about. They're about looking all cute and cuddly, but underneath they're a wolf. So we'll go into it, right? So I've read that bit. So long-term change, named after the Roman general Fabius Maximus for his patient strategic approach, is the founder and affiliate of the Labour Party and influences political thinking through its research, publications and conferences. So they're quite influential. They're very influential. Ideology. Let's have a look at their ideology. Promotes gradual empiric reform and democratic socialistic principles rather than revolutionary change. So what's it doing? Right. So that sounds all nice and good, doesn't it? Right. So we use democracy to get into power. It doesn't mean that they're good for the country. It means rather than a revolution, a bloody revolution, they're skipping over that bit and they're going to infiltrate aspects of society. So our infrastructure, which is exactly what's happening now. So this is how the Fabian Society enacts change, socialistic change, social change, socialism. They infiltrate organizations and gradually change them to be socialist. Now, aren't we seeing that at the minute with our institutions, the judiciary, Fabian Society, infiltrate it, slowly turn it to a socialist dominated entity. The police force, infiltrate it, slowly change it to a socialistic entity. Starting to see a pattern now. This is their whole ethos. A wolf in sheep's clothing. This isn't conspiracy theory stuff. This is them saying it themselves, being open about it. And we can draw a correlation between the Fabian Society and the World Economic Forum. Look at what Klaus Schwab said. We will infiltrate your cabinets, your governments to enact change. Doesn't that sound an awful lot like what the Fabian Society is doing? Scary stuff. Like I said, I am only scratching the surface with what these people are about. So, role. Acts as a membership-led think tank, influencing public and political discourse on social justice and policy. So, no doubt that there will be Fabian members within the Socialist Workers' Party. So that's how they'll be influencing the public through organisations like Stand Up to Racism and other organisations like that. That's what they mean. A slow infiltration of society. Basically, the Fabians are a middle-class twats who unsupped the Labour trade union and co-opted the movement. Exactly. Exactly. Funnily enough, the TUC is a member of the Fabian society. Something else I found out. Right, activities. Organisers conferences, speaker events, and publishers research, analysis, and opinion pieces on contemporary issues like inequality, poverty, public service, reform. Influence. Has a significant impact on Labour Party policy and historic reforms, including the establishment of the National Health Service. Now, whatever you think about the National Health Service, I think we can all agree that it's become an over-bloated money pit monstrosity. That there is lots that we could do to the NHS to make it much more serviceable. I mean, an obvious thing is get rid of all the managers, get rid of all these sorts of managers. The NHS basically sucks up a small country's economy. Largest employer in the country, by the way. What is the Fabian socialist strategy? Fabian socialism. It utilizes the same strategy of war of attrition to facilitate the society's aim to bring about socialist state. So that's what they want. They don't care about democracy. Democracy is just a mechanism in which they gain power. They're not democratic. They're not interested in a democratic process. They're using democracy and getting into place of power instead of outright revolution where they just take over. That's what they're doing. The advocation of gradualism distinguished this brand of socialism from those who favor revolutionary action. So it sounds cuddly and warm when they keep putting democratic in everything, but the democratic process is the way in which they gain power. They don't care about democracy. They care about gaining power. And so what they do is this is what's been happening for decades. They move their pieces around the board into different establishments, into places of power. And this is what I mean. They're patient. They're patient in what they're doing. This has been going on for absolutely decades. And they're patient. And they're waiting to make their move. And at the moment, they're making their move. These people are brazen about it. They're not secretive or anything like that. It's not a secret society. They're open about their goals. This is how they're going to do it. They're going to infiltrate institutions, slowly take them over, turn them socialist. So before anybody knows it, all of a sudden, the whole system is socialism. And that's exactly what we've got at the minute. Look at the police force, look at the judiciary, look at the CPS, look at any institution that is woke, and no doubt you'll find a Fabian at the center of it. That's what I've been looking at. I mean, for a better word, we've always called what we've been calling the deep state, the globalists, is really the Fabian society, isn't it? So let's take a look. Famous playwright, we've already been to him, George Bernard Shaw. What religion is Fabian? Right, okay. So Catholic Church. So it was started by the Catholics, apparently. Interesting. What is the left-wing group in the UK? Right, okay. Nothing to do with the Fabian Society. So I'm just reading through it. I'm just looking through all this. Interesting about the logo, though, isn't it? I mean, there's literally loads of it. I suggest everybody goes and looks up and checks out the Fabian Society. So look at this here, the Fabian. This is from their actual website. The Fabian Society is Britain's oldest political think tank, founded in 1884. The society has been at the forefront of developing political ideas and public policy on the left for 140 years. So everything that's going to shit in the country right now, you can blame on these people, because these are the people that probably came up with the policy. The archives of the Fabian Society are held at London School of Economics, including comprehensive digital archive. Yeah, that one. The Fabian name, the Fabian Society. Yeah, the Fabian Society derives its name from the Roman general. Is it Quintus Fabius, known for his strategy of delaying his attack on the invading Carthaginians until the right moment. So this is basically what they're doing. This is why they've taken this name, the Fabian Society, is because they move all their pieces into place and they wait for the right moment to strike. That doesn't sound insidious at all, does it? It doesn't sound scary or, dark, shadowy organizations at all, does it? Really? For the right moment, you must wait, as Fabius did, most patiently when warning against Hannibal through. Many censured his delays, but when the time comes, you must strike hard, as Fabius did, or nothing will be in vain and fruitless. So this is their motto: educate, agitate, organize. I would say indoctrinate, agitate, organize. I think that's a good thing. The Fabian Society was founded in the 4th of January 1884 as an offshoot of the Fellowship of the New Life. The new society soon attracted some of the most prominent left-wing thinkers of the late Victorian era to its ranks. In the 1880s saw an upsurge in socialist activity in Britain, and the Fabian Society was at the heart of much of it. Against the backdrop of the Match Girls strike and the 1889 London dock strike, the landmark Fabian Essays was published, containing essays by George Bernard Shaw, Graham Walls, Sidney Webb, Sidney Oliver, and Anne Besant. Apparently, Emily Pankhurst was also a Fabian Society member. All the contributors were united by their rejection of violent upheaval as a method of change, preferring to use the power of local government and trade unionism to transform society. The early Fabians, committed to non-violent political change, was underlined by the role of the Fabian Society played in Parliament politics, having initially sought to influence the Liberal Conservative parties. The Fabians participated in the foundation of the Labour Party in 1900, so they are responsible for the creation of the Labour Party as well. The Society has been affiliated to the Labour throughout the party's history and is the only original founder that remains affiliated in unchanged form. None of the early figures in Society were more significant than Beatrice and Sidney Webb in developing the ideas that would come to characterize Fabian thinking, and in developing the thorough research methodology that remains a feature of the Society to present day. Both prodigious authors, Beatrice and Sidney, wrote extensively on a wide range of topics, but it was Beatrice's 1909 Minority Report to the Commission of the Poor Law that was perhaps their most remembered contribution. This landmark report provided the foundation stone for a much modern welfare state. The members of the Society were radicals for their time, but their views reflected the age they lived in. Leading members of the Society held racist prejudices and opinions which were not in keeping with the Society's commitment to equality for all. What does that sound like? Equality for all. Either then or now, Fabians engaged in debates on eugenics. That's what we just heard from Bernard Shaw, wasn't it? That little speech he just gave about if you're not producing in society, maybe we should just terminate you. Scary. And we're racist towards people of Jewish, Black and Asian origin. Views on the role of empire varied amongst members, with some supporting rapid decolonisation and others seeing the British Empire as a potential progressive force in the world. So there you've got a brief outline of what they're all about. So the interesting part is the racism part, isn't it? Because we've seen that ourselves, don't we? We see it ourselves when you look at Stand Up to Racism and the other things. They're very, very bigoted themselves. If you're not one of them, then they're bigoted against you. Let's have a look at some of the comments. So let's have a look. Yeah, so they're not good people, basically, are they? They are scary, scary individuals. And these are the people that have infiltrated our institutions. So that's a brief. Let's have a look at Sadiq Khan's role in there, shall we? I'll get rid of this now. Get this off the screen now. But that's this on screen now for everybody that's just coming to have a look. This is the emblem of the Fabian Society. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing, which is very, very telling of a socialist infiltration movement, isn't it? So we'll get rid of that on screen now. We'll get rid of that. Right, so let's have a look at Sadiq Khan's role in the Fabian Society, shall we? Because his role in it is unbelievable. Right, we'll get this up on screen. Right, so this is it. Oh, this is amazing. You're gonna love reading this out. So, Sadiq Khan is a prominent member and past chairman of the Fabian Society, a socialist organisation in the UK that promotes social justice. Yeah, whatever. He served as chairman and was awarded the Jenny Jaeger, I think that's what her name is, Jaeger Award for his pamphlet "Fairness, Not Favours: How to Reconnect with British Muslims." Khan currently serves as a vice president of the society. There you go. Key details about Sadiq Khan's involvement with the Fabian Society. Chairman: Khan was a chairman of the Fabian Society. Vice president: he currently is vice president of the organisation. Yeah, about his organisation. The Fabian Society is the political society that is part of the Labour Party. So there you go. There you go. So let's see what else he's been involved in. Who are some of the Let's have a look at some of the famous Fabians, shall we? 4 Fabians. Yeah, I've covered all these already. Beatrice and Sidney Webb, Graham Wallas, and George Bernard Shaw founded the London School of Economics with the money left to the Fabian Society by Henry Hutchinson. Supposedly, the decision was made at a breakfast party on the 4th of August, 1894. The founders were depicted in the Fabian window designed by Shaw. Let's have a look at some of the other stuff that he's yeah, so that's a basic brief look at the Fabian Society, isn't it? So for all those that are just joining us, I've just been talking about about these guys, the Fabian Society. Like I've said, I'm just scratching the surface of these people at the minute. But from what I've been reading so far, it's scary stuff. We've got George Bernard Shaw. In fact, I'll play it again. I'll play it again for those that are just coming in. So this is George Bernard Shaw. He's one of the founders of the Fabian Society. These are his own words. We've already established that the Fabian Society is really heavily into eugenics. They love the eugenics. If you're not a productive person in society, then you should be exterminated. These people would basically exterminate all of our disabled people. People like who's Stephen Hawkins. People like Stephen Hawkins would have been murdered. They would have been aborted at birth. They wouldn't have been allowed to be born. One of the greatest minds in human history wouldn't have been born under a Fabian society. So, you know, an actual Fabian society. In a Fabian society, certain people wouldn't have survived birth. But we'll have a look at the. These are his own words. So I'll put it to the speaker again. This is George Bernard Shaw in his own words about.
I object to all punishment whatsoever. I don't want to punish anybody. But there are an extraordinary number of people whom I want to kill. Not in any unkind or personal spirit, but it must be evident to all of you. You must all know half a dozen people at least who are no use in this world, who are more trouble than they are worth. And I think it would be a good thing to make everybody come before a properly appointed board, just as he might come before the income tax commissioner, and say every 5 years or every 7 years, just put him there and say, sir or madam, now will you be kind enough to justify your existence? If you can't justify your existence, if you're not pulling your weight in the social vote, if you're not producing as much as you consume, or perhaps a little more, then clearly we cannot use the big organization of our society for the purpose of keeping you alive, because you're.
So basically, that's George Bernard Shaw that's saying if you're not a productive member of society, then you should just be killed. You'd have to go before, in his world, you would have to go before a committee to justify your existence. And at the end of the committee, if you can't justify your existence, then he's suggesting that they can legitimately just kill you. That is eugenics, ladies and gentlemen. That's eugenics. So, as I said at the beginning of this live stream, right, you sometimes you can say, you know, these things were started off with the best intentions, but over time it slowly got corrupted and it's turned into what it is today. But this was at its inception in 1884. This is what these people believed. They believed that if you weren't productive in society, you didn't produce more than you consumed or a little bit more, then they were justified in killing you. Exactly, Dougie. Exactly. And this is the connection between socialism and fascism. It really is. Because this is the same mindset of Soviet Russia. How many handicapped kids do you think the Soviets killed because they saw them as a burden on society? How many people do you think they murdered who couldn't work in the salt mines or couldn't work in the coal mines? They just got rid of them because they saw them as a drag on society. That there's a reason why it's called National Socialism. People get hooked up on the nationalism and they forget about the socialism part of National Socialism. The Nazi 14 system had a remote committee on them adopters. Each of them reviewed the right of a cripple to exist. 2 votes out of 3, and it was bye-bye. Exactly. This to euthanize. The Nazis were heavy into eugenics. Look at the blonde hair, blue eyes thing. Eugenics. Steve is very knowledgeable. He really is. He's very, very knowledgeable. So yeah, that was George Bernard Shaw trying to make the argument for eugenics. And he was one of the co-founders of the Fabian Society. Now, I'm assuming Tony Blair was a member of the Fabian Society. It does state here that nearly every single leader of the Labour Party has been a Fabian. Everyone was into eugenics before World War II. No, Jack, they're not Nazis, they're communists. Same thing, just different ideology. Same methods, but just different ideology. Who's he mentioning? Who's he mentioning, Steve? Yeah, we've been through this. We've gone through this a few times with Jack. About he keeps saying that Nick Griffin should join with UKIP and UKIP should become the new BNP and all this kind of stuff. And unfortunately for Jack, he doesn't understand what he's talking about. In all fairness, you don't, Jack. You don't understand what you're talking about. I think what you need to do is go away and do some research on Nick Griffin and the BNP, and then understand what you talk about and understand why Nick Tenconi would have nothing to do with Nick Griffin or the BNP. This is why they want regulation, the regionalisation of England. Exactly. Exactly. That there is no way that Nick Tenconi is going to embrace an ethno-nationalist. If you haven't seen already, Jack, Nick Tenconi actually went up against the ethno-nationalists. Well, that's the point, right? This is what I was going to talk about today as well. Because everybody's talking about how we need to reform government, how we need to reform the institutions within government. Well, before we even get to that, we need to reform the people that are going to be put into government. Now, there's probably going to be some people that disagree with me here, right? But hands up, everybody who thinks that the Reform Party is basically the spinal tap of political parties. They come across to me as a spoof party that aren't really serious about anything. I mean, Dame Angela Jenkins, when she came on stage singing in that sequin thing, was just pure cringe. Absolutely pure cringe. Absolutely pure cringe. And it's like, what are you doing? You know, the whole country is falling apart. That there's a growing concern about civil war, and all Farage can do is throw these insane conferences every other week, just to big himself up. Oh, I've not had any attention recently. I know, I'll have a conference just so he can talk about himself some more. Hands up anybody who believes Nigel Farage when he says he's going to deport all the illegal immigrants in this country. That's a pledge he made on stage. Now, let's not forget the other pledges that he's also made. Let's not forget the pledge about we're going to have an independent inquiry into grooming gangs, which never materialised. Then we had a 3-month flip-flop on illegal immigrants, where at one point it was, oh, I can't do it because it's a political impossibility. Next, it was just before the May elections. Then it was, oh, it's a possibility. We're going to come up with a strategy to deport all the illegal immigrants, which never materialised. He then had an interview where he stated and said that, oh, it's just an aspiration. It's just a political aspiration. Now we're back to it being, yeah, it can be done, and we're fully on board with it. After all that flip-flopping about, does anybody really trust anything that Farage says? Seriously, does anybody trust anything that Farage says? And what's with this? Why is Zaya Youssef? I know the answer to this, right? But I just want to know that I'm not going insane. Zaya Youssef isn't the chairman of the Reform Party anymore. Yet at every opportunity, Farage is wheeling him out like he's still in the position. Now, we all know Zaya Youssef is still in the position of chairman of the Reform Party. Dr. David Bull is just the face. He's the face, isn't he? He's just a puppet. The real person behind that is Zaya Youssef. Zaya Youssef is the one forming policy for the Reform Party. The party is a joke, and I like this. I think it was Nick Buckley that said this, and I agree with him 100%. The Reform Party is the party we needed 3 decades ago. That's what he said. The Reform Party is the party we needed 3 decades ago in the 1990s. It's not the party for the present day politics. It isn't. It's a 1990s political party, not a present day party. We need an absolute warrior, soldier, political party to go into Parliament. That's what we need. Absolute right wing, tough as hell, going to go in there and kick arse. Nigel Farage doesn't fit that picture, not one little bit. He's got absolutely no clue. He's weak sauce, as the Elon Musk said. I know a lot of you people don't like Elon Musk, but yeah, Nigel Farage is weak sauce. He'll flip-flop. He blows wherever the political winds take him. At the minute, patriotism. I also noticed as well, did anybody else notice this? The lack of Union flags at the Reform Party conference. I was looking at one of the live streams and somebody said, not one flag. Not one flag. So yeah, the Reform Party, not the choice to go into Parliament and make any sort of reform. Let's face it, right? Let's just be blunt and just come out and say it. The Reform Party is just the rebranding of the Tory wet party, isn't it? It's just rebranded. Look at who they've just accepted into their ranks recently. Noreen Doris, one of the architects of the online safety bill. It's just basically the Tories rehashed. It's like we'll take all the Tories, we'll take them out of that packaging, we'll dump them in this new packaging called the Reform Party. That's what it is. Plain and simple. They know 100% that they're never going to get elected as the Tory party again. They're not. It's not going to happen. Right, I'm going to say this about Advanced as well. Right, they're too young. They're too young of a party. It's not going to happen. Probably in 2 or 3 general elections, they may have a chance of being elected, but definitely not this one. Everybody thought that Nigel Farage was going to romp in with a massive majority and win the last general election. And what happened? Nothing. And the reason they didn't do anything is, and this is what a lot of people don't understand, it's not just about how many people vote for you. Well, it is, but it isn't in a way. Not in our first past the post system. The first past the post system is all about majorities, about gaining majorities in certain areas to get yourself the maximum amount of seats. And until you've been through a general election, you don't have that data. You don't know where to concentrate all your resources to know where you've done the best and where to put your resources and gain seats. This is what the Liberal Democrats have been doing for years. They're a shit party, but they know how to maximise their resources to get the maximum return of MPs into Parliament. That's something the Reform Party didn't have at the last election. This time around, they will have voter data. They will know where the majorities are and where the people are who support them. They'll have all that information. Advanced UK don't have that. They don't have that. So basically, in this general election coming up, they will be in a similar position as Reform were in the last one. They won't know where their majorities are. So the chances of them winning, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's possible, but it's highly unlikely. You would need a massive swing in the vote in the country to get them into Parliament. And with Reform splitting the vote, that, you know, Reform and Advance are going to split the vote on the right. Neither of them are going to get a majority to form the government in Parliament. That's what's going to happen. That is what's going to happen. And so we're going to have some kind of weird coalition government in the next general election. And what happens? What happens if there's an election, say, in a couple of months' time? Do you think Advance is in a position at the moment to go into a general election and win it? They're not. They're not prepared for it. They're not prepared yet. They've not even really launched as a party yet. They've only just reached their, they're just on the cusp of 29,000 members. They're not even prepared to go into an early general election. So if one is called, they're screwed. I'm not dissing any party. I hate talking about party politics. I've come to the conclusion that party politics is just a distraction. It really is. There's no point talking about something that is 4 years away. And I keep saying this. It's 4 years away. The battle for this country is being fought right now. Steve, Richard's going nowhere, and Paul is had a good reason, in my opinion. So have a look. Reform got 500,000 votes. Got 500,000 votes than the Lib Dems last year. Advance will see very little outside their leaders' constituencies. Yeah, because they're a new party. Look how long it's taken for the Reform Party to break through into Parliament and get just 5 MPs. But when were they created? I mean, they were the Brexit Party. So they've only changed their name. They have been around 2016, 2017. Nearly 10 years. It's taken them nearly a decade to break through and get just 5 MPs into Parliament. The country had to be ready. The country had to be ready for change. I think it is ready for change. I really do think it is. But there are lots of hurdles in a new party's way in the first past the post system. It is dominated. It will be dominated by the parties that have already established themselves, because they know how to play the system. They know how to target their voters. It's as simple as that. And of course, you're coming up against the block voters, the Muslim vote, the people that will just block vote whatever their religious leaders tell them to vote for. They'll vote for it. You're coming up against that as well. You know, people have been saying this, and everybody goes to the centre ground to fight this because they're hoping they're going to be able to pick up the swing voters. And the fact of the matter is, our country is now heavily polarised. You know, you're either right wing or you're left wing. There aren't that many people in the middle anymore that are in the middle of politics. It's very polarised. This is why what Nick Buckley said. The country is a different landscape to what it was in the 1990s. Any party with a 1990s mindset of getting into power is going to lose, because the minute you go to the centre ground, you're going to lose, because you're not going to appeal to anybody. The right wingers will see you as weak. The left wingers won't want to touch you because they're already polarised. They see anything to the right of Lenin as far right. So you're not going to pick up many swing votes. The best course of action that the Reform Party could have taken and should have taken was to swing clearly to the right wing of politics, to give people a clear choice for the right wing. That's what they should have done, but they didn't. As soon as they got into Parliament, they started shifting straight to the centre ground. And they lost a lot of support because of it. They went weak. They went weak on everything. Absolutely weak on everything. Exactly. But the landscape has changed, hasn't it, Martin? The landscape has totally changed in this country that way. That the country is more polarised now. It is. I think the next general election, if there is a snap general election, an early one, it's going to be a low turnout because people aren't going to give a shit. That's the trouble, because people see what happens when these people get into Parliament. They see that nothing changes. Everything just stays the same. And I haven't, to be honest with you, I honestly haven't seen anything from Advanced or Reform that makes me want to vote for them, or anything that suggests they're any different from what we've had before. It doesn't. That's why I'm going to keep my powder dry and wait closer to the time and see what actually happens. See what Advanced evolves into. See if it becomes the party that I think I can get behind. See what happens with UKIP. Who knows what could happen to UKIP? There could be a surge in UKIP membership for all we know in 4 years' time. The only time that we will know which party we need to vote for will be probably, a couple of months before the general election. It's not now, because anything can happen in the build-up to a general election. 4 years is a hell of a long time in politics. It really is. Anything could happen. And by the looks of it, I wouldn't want to be a particularly threat to the deep state anyway, because look what's happening to the ADF in Germany. Look what's happening to them. They're being targeted. And, I was always taught, right, once is sad. If somebody dies, that's sad. An ADF politician, that's sad. 2, that's a coincidence. 3, that's suspicious. 7 is, what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? 7 ADF candidates in Germany die suddenly, and we're not supposed to take that as suspicious. I'm sorry, there's something going on there. Look at the lengths they've gone to. Look at the lengths the German government has gone to ban the ADF because they fear them so much, because they know they're gaining traction, they're gaining strength. Do you really think that the deep state wouldn't be past just killing these people to kill the momentum of the party? These people are capable of anything. They really are. In one key region, exactly. One key region. I mean, even the leader of the party has come out and said this is suspicious. This is not normal. Very, very scary. I thought I saw someone that Ursa said, we have the tools. Very sinister. Yeah, exactly. The deep state can knock it. Exactly. If they want you gone, you're gone. If you're a threat to them, you're gone. Which is why we know Reform is controlled opposition. They are. They're controlled opposition. Could be wrong, but I'm sure Reform came into being of its own accord. Farage bought a load of ex-Brexit Party members with him and set up the Apple Cart. No, the Brexit Party changed its name to the Reform Party. They did a name change. It was the Brexit Party, but it changed to the Reform Party. Didn't hear about this. Did you hear about the French PM? The whole of France is blocking and striking. The PM wants to remove two public holidays, Easter Monday and the 8th of May, V-Day, hence their anger. You know what? Everywhere, if you look at everywhere, the leaders of the West, they're deliberately pushing the public to civil unrest, aren't they? It's happening here in the UK, it's happening in Australia. I know that's not the West, but you know what I mean. It's happening in Australia, it's happening in Europe. We've got these leaders who are deeply involved with the World Economic Forum, all pushing at the same time, pushing hard policies that they know is going to piss people off in their own country, that is probably going to cause civil unrest. That can't just be a coincidence, can it? They call it reform because that party replaced the Canadian Conservative in the 90s, but they still didn't see power. Yes, Jack, the UK is run by fools. Yeah, people are saying that it's going to go from strength to strength, Corbyn's party. It's already suffering, isn't it? Because you've got the Islamists in there, and then you've got the LGBTQ crowd, the extremists in there. They don't like each other, obviously. That party's just going to implode, like you said. Corbyn's party is about to implode, as the Islamic side won't tolerate the trans. That was always going to happen. It's always going to happen. People have asked me, right? They've asked me, why don't I make videos on the trans stuff and all that kind of stuff? And it's because this is the reason why. This is the reason I don't touch any of that. For one thing, it's absolutely toxic with YouTube. And for another reason, it's just a distraction. That whole thing is just a distraction. Identity politics and talking about it is just a distraction. To me, if I got involved in that, I'd be no better than the far left. Because what they want you to do is they want you to get you involved in tribalistic groups fighting amongst each other. That's the whole point of identity politics. That's why I don't touch it with a barge pole. I'm not interested in it. It's like, if do what you want to do, I don't care. You know, I support the people who are against the trans rights shit. It's like, if you want to do that sort of thing, you've got the privacy of your own home. Why do you need to parade yourself around the streets like it? You know, you've got the privacy of your own home to do that sort of thing. It's just because they want to share their sexual fantasies. It's because they get off on doing what they do in public. That's why they want to do it. It's got nothing to do with rights or anything like that. That's the way I see it. So what's this then? Vindicator. I'll send you a link. You might want to watch it here. It can be used to remove a lot of these wrong-uns. Okay. Yeah, people keep telling me to go and check out the guy that's in charge of the English Constitution Party. I was going to cover it in this video today, but I'm saving it for when I get my new laptop in a couple of weeks' time, so I can actually put it on screen and we can all have a look at it together. So what's going to happen? I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I'm upgrading the laptop to a proper streaming laptop. I'm going to be buying the full version of StreamYard so I can use all the gizmos and gadgets on here, because this is the software that I'm most used to and know how to use. So that's what I'm going to do. So we can go in and check on these things as I'm looking at it, so we can all learn together. So the process of researching is passed on to you guys as well, so you can see how I'm looking at things, and we can look at stuff and discuss stuff together. Unfortunately, at the minute, I can't do it on this laptop because it's so old. I can't even share a screen properly with it. It won't let me do that. So yeah, there's a lot of things I've got to change. There's a lot of things I've got to do. I know my live streams are boring at the minute. It's just me talking. I can't even have people come in to have a chat at the minute because it just crashes. So once that's sorted out, yeah, it's going to be a better experience for you guys and stuff like that. The microphone's going to be out of storage. I can set all that up and we can have proper live streams again like we used to do. But yeah, that's what's going to happen. That's what's coming up for the channel as well. And it's going to be action stations as well. And we're doing a lot more out and about videos. We're going to be pushing the channel forward. We're going to be the surge. It's time for the surge. I think YouTube is shadow banning me again because the channel has just stopped dead. It's stopped growing. So I'm assuming that's YouTube. So it's really important for you guys now just to share my content, like my videos, leave a comment. I know you all do, and I really appreciate it. But it looks like YouTube is pulling its old tricks again in trying to throttle back the channel and its growth. I've noticed steadily, I've noticed over the course of a few months when I came back to YouTube, it was growing by about 10 subscribers a day. Now it's hardly moving. It's just stagnant at the minute. So whether I've reached an impasse with YouTube and they've said, oh yeah, I don't know. Anyway, in other news, I have sent off, I am applying for the YouTube partnership. I am monetizing the channel to get a bit of revenue coming in to pay for some new equipment and stuff like that. So that's going to be going forward. And eventually, hopefully, I can make this my full-time job. I have to hold back at the minute with things that I say, because with work and stuff like that, I have to be careful what I say, because there are people watching the live streams that are just looking for an opportunity to get me fired, get me sacked, whatever. Now, once I reach a certain threshold with subscribers and stuff like that, the channel becomes self-sustaining. It'll be, the gloves are off. The gloves are off. That's why I've not been really going to many protests and stuff like that. I've been trying to keep myself to myself a little bit. If any of you didn't know, I have had issues with people contacting my employers trying to get me sacked and stuff like that. So I've had to take a step back from certain activities for a while. But yeah, that's why. But this channel is going to surge forward. We are going to, the point of this channel is to try and wake people up to what's going on in this country. That's why I don't really focus on international politics or anything like that. There are other channels that do that. My concern is for my country, this country, Britain, England. I want it back, and I'm going to get it back. And the only way we can do that is by waking people up. That's the only way we're going to do it, is mass protests, waking people up. When you speak the truth against establishment, it's a cost. They pull my teeth out to shut me up over the destruction of the catering industry, as I saw the impact on farming. I'll die soon, okay? I'm just looking at some of the unfortunately, no, I'm not going to Tommy's rally, and it's down to monetary reasons. I can't afford to go down to London because where I am in the UK, I would need to stay overnight. The train fare alone and the coach fare is like, no, I'm not doing it. It's that maybe the next one, we'll see. But yeah, like I said, it's just the channel at the minute is just a hobby. It doesn't make any. I had somebody the other day in the comments saying, "Oh, you'll do anything for clicks and views just to get your YouTube paycheck." It's like the channel doesn't make any money at the minute. It doesn't make anything at the minute. It's just a hobby. It doesn't make anything. Or everything that I do for this channel comes out of my own pocket, which it should do, and YouTube's pocket. You know, that's how it should be. But I don't make any money from this channel yet, not at all. Yeah, it has. I've noticed that as well. YouTube removes subs. Always ask us to recheck our subs. I've seen loads say the same. Yeah, They do. And another thing, you have to click the notification bell, because I've been getting lots of people telling me that they're not getting notified of videos, they're not getting notified of live streams. YouTube is very selective on who it promotes. That's obvious. And this is what I called out President Trump the other day. I sent him a text, not a text, a message on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and said, you know what, when you complain about free speech, maybe you should look at companies in your own backyard as well, like YouTube, for instance, notorious for censorship of the right wing. YouTube make millions yet don't pay. Yeah, the thing is, you've got to apply for it. You've got to meet certain criteria before your channel can be monetized. So you've got to have, I think it's, is it 40,000? I think it's 40,000 viewing hours. Got to 40,000. I've got that. You've got to have over 1,000 subscribers before you can get monetized, and then it comes down to all different sorts of criteria that I'm not going to go into here, but it's, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a discrepancy, Steve, because what I've noticed is when I go to the YouTube studio on my phone and I'm looking at the views on my actual channel, the views in the YouTube studio are way above. It doesn't update that often. So people come to a video, they see how many views it's got to see if it's popular. They look at it and think, oh, that's not got many views, when in reality it has. I'll have to show it at some point. I'll have to show the difference between the clicker on the YouTube side of things and in my YouTube studio, because it's completely different. They don't update it. Right. I know we're getting off topic. Sorry about that. Right. So back to how we remove the Fabians. So how do you get rid of them? Well, this is what I was talking about before. You need a total purge. You need a government in there. But has anybody ever seen the film The Untouchables with Kevin Costner? Because that's basically what you need to go into government. You need people that can't be corrupted, that are untouchable, whose sole purpose is to go into government and purge the fifth column that's embedded itself within the civil service, get rid of all the permanent secretaries, and then you go and hunt down all the Fabians that have infiltrated our institutions. That's how you get rid of them. That's how you get rid of them. Yes, the baseball bat scene. Oh, not that bit. Okay. Yeah, but you get my meaning. They've got to be untouchable. They've got to be beyond reproach. They've got to be incorruptible. And unfortunately, with our political system, it's that old saying, isn't it? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Unfortunately. And that's what's happened to a lot of the people that have got into Parliament. They get on the gravy train, they like it, they don't want to get off it, and so they don't want things to change. Yeah, they need to go through. There needs to be a complete security check on these people, complete background check on everything. And I don't just mean people suspected of being Fabians, everybody. So anybody that's got even inkling of being a far left activist, booted out you go. Goodbye. You're going to be nowhere in government service. Any extremists at all on both sides, either right wing or left wing, boot them out. That might be unpopular, but yeah, boot them out, get them out. And to be honest with you, how many extremist right-wing people do you think are in government positions? None, zero. So that kind of covers that. But yeah, Says it all, really, doesn't it? Yes, Steve. Disgust me, they got simply label themselves as honourable. Yeah, none of them are honourable. The only person that I would say that's honourable in Parliament would be Rupert Lowe. That's the only person I would describe as honourable. The rest of them, not so much. Oh no, don't worry about your language at all. As long as you bring in an argument and that sort of thing, got no issues with that whatsoever. I know a lot of people, I know a lot of my subscribers are at protest today, going to protest or about to go to protest. Stay safe, guys. I wish you all the best. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job at the protest. You stick it to them. What I heard, I'm not sure which live stream this was on. It could have been Mystic Media, could have been somebody else. But from what I heard, and Steve will probably confirm this, that these protests that you're doing are costing the police, I think it's £50,000 a protest. You're wearing them down. It's not so much the protest itself, it's the cost of policing you that's making the difference. Because eventually they will come to realise that they simply cannot keep policing these events. They simply will just run out of money. And at that point, they'll probably just give in. They'll just give in and close the hotels down. They'll have no choice because they won't be able to police them anymore. Either that, or they'll go the other way. There is another option, a bad option, where they'll just put an exclusion zone around the hotels and say any protest within this exclusion zone, and you'll be arrested. You know, like what they did with the abortion clinics, where simply praying in your own head somehow warrants them to arrest you. That's what will happen. That's what they'll do. Well, that's a choice. Vindicator, you should run your show on YouTube and Rumble at the same time. I'm going to have to tell people to go and check me out on Rumble. On Rumble, I am Vindicator Vengeance. But unfortunately, on there, you have to get a certain amount of people subscribing to your Rumble channel before you can live stream on it. I can't live stream there, and you have to pay for it. So like I said, at the minute, it's not an option. You know, I have to grow the technology as the channel grows. Oh God, yeah, that's definitely what they want. I swear they're sweating for martial law. That's exactly what they want. If Labour had been in charge during the pandemic, they'd have had martial law without a doubt. It would have been martial law. They wanted far heavier restrictions than the Conservative Party. I mean, I'm not trying to excuse the Conservative Party. What the Conservative Party did was draconian in itself and wrecked the country. But what the Labour Party wanted to do was far, far worse. They basically wanted you to be under house arrest. They didn't even want you to have any time to exercise, not going out for an hour of the day. You'd been under house arrest, and the army would have delivered ration packs to your front door. That's what they wanted. Complete and utter total submission and suppression of the population. We're great to hear it's a pleasure to serve the great English public as opposed to the great British public, which I haven't heard since I was a kid. You probably never will again. So I'm just reading some of the comments. The issue is when they move them out of the hotels, move them to any else. You know what's going to happen, don't you? Keir Starmer has said that he wants to close down all the illegal immigrant hotels. Now everybody's like, oh, you know, maybe he'll do something about it. It's like, no, what he's going to do, you know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to grant all these people citizenship, isn't he? He's going to grant them all citizenship. He's going to move them out of the hotels. They'll shut the hotels down. And in the meantime, we're still going to keep getting the influx of illegals coming to the country. That's what's going to happen. I can see it happening. I live in the most southern town in the UK. We've had a bunch of Afghans hiding in HMOs near a very quiet woods. Gone now, but keep watching. Yeah, keep your eye out for them. Yeah, exactly. But you know it's coming, Steve. You know what they'll do. They'll just grant them citizenship and say, look, I closed all the hotels. The problem's gone. When it hasn't really. All they've done is just shoved it under the carpet. A lot of people have been saying that. Now, this is what I was talking about in my video yesterday, where there's some things that I don't mention on the channel because I haven't got proof for them. And this is one of those things. Now, I've seen footage and I can't verify it. I can't confirm it. But there was instances at the Bell Hotel where allegedly an individual was showing, or had on Instagram, was showing multiple weapons, machine guns, that sort of thing. From what I could see, they look genuine, because sometimes when you see them at the windows and people saying, oh, it looks like they're at windows with machine guns, they're BB guns, they're airsoft rifles. That's what they are. But from what I could see, the guy's Instagram, now this could be from a time when he was in his own country where there was, you know, guns everywhere. I mean, you've only got to look at Iraq. Guns are absolutely everywhere in Iraq. You can buy any type of weapon you want. I remember walking around markets and seeing RPGs and God knows what on sale at some markets that we saw. Just guns on a market stall, like we would have a Sunday market car boot sale. They have like a Sunday market gun sale, and they don't require any paperwork. It's just like you pay your money, you buy the gun, and off you go with it. That's it. So that could be from a time when he was in his native country and there was literally no gun restrictions. So to say that he has them with him in his hotel, I don't know. I think that's highly unlikely, but who knows? Like I said, there's no proof for it. Right, it's 1 hour 12. I'm going to end the live stream here. So that was only a brief look into the Fabian Society. I know there's a bigger picture to them. I know it's bigger and that sort of thing, but it's just a brief look. This is just me doing my basic research on them. But yeah, right, guys, I'm going to leave it. I know some people want to go off and watch live streams of protests, stuff like that. So I'm going to leave it here. Thanks, everybody, coming. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the live stream. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment on my videos, and share them far and wide on your social media. Thanks, everybody, for coming along. Thanks to everybody for subscribing to my channel and supporting the channel. Thank you very much. This is Vindicator, sign off. Thank you, Steve, for being moderator as well. Thank you. Thanks for that. I shall see you all in the next one. Bye for now. This is Vindicator, signing off.